Hey, it's Joey for Digital DJ Tips, and welcome to Your Feedback. This is our weekly show where we share your views and opinions to questions that are posted over at the Digital DJ Tips website. And in this episode, the question is, how do you keep people on the dance floor? Now, before I go to your answers, I'm going to share mine first. How do I keep people on the dance floor? I do something that sounds kinda counterintuitive. I make sure that I don't play too many hit songs back to back. Whenever I play a couple of big tunes, I always make sure that I play one track that kinda lowers the energy just a little. This gives my audience some time to take a breather, whether they wanna get a drink at the bar, they wanna go have a smoke, they want to go to the toilet, or they just want to chat with each other. Doing this gives them time to take a break and then allows them to come back to the dance floor later on, ready for more. Right, so that's my answer. Now let's move on to your answers. Let's go. So our first one is from Jordan Perry, and Jordan says, don't just watch the dance floor, watch the bar and other sitting areas too. If people are bouncing their heads and smiling and laughing, then they're having a good time. Some people want to chill out and listen and won't go to the floor. I used to be discouraged by an empty floor, but now I realize that as long as people are having a good time, whether they're dancing or just hanging out, then I know I'm doing a good job. Yeah, thank you for that answer, Jordan. Let's move on to the next one. This one is by Alf, and he says, tempo is not a question of raising the BPM. It's about the dynamics of tunes. You must realize that playing similar tracks one after another makes it boring. Use the natural breaks you can find in a song. Then if people are leaving, change to another area or style. Use popular tracks, old and new, to start a new build. It's a learning curve, but you must try to read the crowd, and that only comes with experience. Good luck. Thank you for that answer, Alf. Let's move on to the next one. This is by Marcus Powell, and he says, in a bar or club environment, people are always going to be coming and going from the dance floor. You don't actually want people dancing all night, otherwise they won't be going to the bar for drinks, etc. Also, some countries, you have to factor in people going to the smoking areas as well. And then of course, people are not going to stand in the one area and dance during your entire set. Sure, some might, but often not the entire crowd. Also, your set length really comes into play here as well. If you're doing a short 1 to 2 hour set, then you have less room to move compared to 4 to 5 hours. However, at the end of the day, knowing how and when to bring the energy up and down again is an important skill and one that takes a lot of time to learn and can really be learned by observing how the different environments work directly. If you were to graph the energy level of your set, it should look like a wave moving up and down. Indeed, crowd reading is one of the most important skills a DJ has in her or his toolkit. Knowing when to take the energy up and when to bring it down whenever you see your crowd being a little bit tired or they just want to sit down for a while because their feet hurting. That is one of the trademark skills a DJ has, and that is something that will never go out of style. I always like to say that DJing is just crowd psychology with music thrown in. So thank you again for that answer, Marcus. Let's move on over to the next one. This one is by Peter Wine, and he says, you can't keep the same people on the dance floor all night, no matter what you play. Yeah, that is true. They will cycle on and off throughout the night. The reason you're there is not to keep them on the dance floor, but allow them to find a groove and follow it as long as they wish to. You can do a perfect mix of every song you play, and sooner or later, people will realize it's a new song and decide it's time for a break. That's not a bad thing. In some cases, they don't know the songs, and other times they may be thirsty. A clash of tempo isn't always a bad thing, as it gives people a chance to adjust. Thank you for that, Peter. Yeah, I like adding tempo changes in my set just because they're a little bit risky to do, especially if it's a really huge tempo jump, and it can break the flow of a dance floor, but sometimes you can use that to good effect, especially if you want to throw a curveball at your audience. Whenever I play like a bar or a pub gig and it's either like a throwback night or a request night, I love doing this just because it keeps the crowd on their toes, and it also introduces a lot of variety into the evening, just because you're basically telling them that there are practically no limitations to what you are going to be playing that night. Of course, it doesn't work in all scenarios. If you're playing like an all techno rave event or something like that, you can't just drop in like a funk or a hip hop track because it's gonna sound really out of place, and people didn't go there for that kind of music. So again, it all depends on the setting and the crowd that you are playing to. So thanks for that, man. Let's move on over to our next answer. This one is by Alan Sharkey, and he says, it's impossible to keep a floor full all night. Same as what Peter said. The key is to reel them in with a tune they know, then maybe another. Then when you have them on the floor, start bringing up the energy, but know your cutoff point. Play roughly 20 to 30 minutes of solid stuff and then tone it down, but not bore them. Just play a few tunes they're not so familiar with, and then repeat, but add a few surprises and twists along the way. So thank you for that, Alan. Let's move on over to our next answer. This one's by Tammy Poole. I try to rotate over mini sets that can be prepared ahead based on genre, year, and energy. This has been discussed a few times here at DDJT. In fact, I am going to link to our article on creating mini sets in your DJ performances at the bottom of this video. Also, let people take their breaks to get drinks or have a chat. An evening comes in waves, and to accept that will take away the stress of finding the best sound to play next. Reading the crowd is the next step. Understand who is in what state of expectation. Thanks for that, Tam. Awesome answers here. And let's move on over to our last one. This is from Dave Mills, who is also a student of Dance Music Formula. Hey, Dave. He says, the ultimate DJ question. Anyone can train to mix an hour set for a festival in time, but when you are the resident and have to maintain a floor for 6 hours or longer. This is the art of a true digital DJ. I've always been of the opinion that DJing is 70% crowd reading and management, only about 30% is DJ technique and showboating. It differs from club to club, from night to night, from week to week. The club owner wants to hear their bar tills ring. So don't be afraid of moving people off the floor for a break, but replace them with other patrons. Yeah, so indeed, a night comes in waves, and people on the dance floor also cycle in and cycle out. Those are things that you can keep in mind the next time you're playing a DJ gig, just so you don't feel too pressured on keeping the dance floor pumping all night. Again, different people come in at different times, and they're not gonna be dancing for like 5 solid straight hours unless they're like on 20 Red Bulls or something like that. So thank you for all your answers, your views and opinions this week, guys. I always check Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as the Digital DJ Tips website for all of the answers and comments that you guys send in to our weekend questions. So again, this is your feedback. Thank you guys so much. My name is Joey. I'll see you next week for another installment.